And Bill King is with us now. And Bill, we've talked with Bill about spring games. It's important for the teams, but it's nothing that we pay extreme close attention to. But Bill, people here are excited to get a look at them in Razorback Stadium this weekend. I could imagine though that if there's one team or one fan base right now that just is as ready to dissect every little move made by their quarterback, J.T. Daniels and Georgia, I've listened to so much talk of, is this the year? Is this the year? Is this the year? They feel they've got their quarterback with him, and it's like if there's one fan base right now that is going to dissect every movement made by the quarterback, right down to if he starts biting his fingernails, it's Georgia, isn't it?
Hey, guys, first of all, apologies, I'm late. I just saw Georgia hit another home run on Vance. So that's what I was doing. Wow.
I was going to bring that up later. You brought it up first.
And what's interesting, Georgia fans, you guys probably don't realize it, but since we're talking little Georgia here, Georgia hates Vandy because they canceled a ball game on him, if you'll remember, towards the end of the season. And that ticked Georgia off. Could have had a 9-2 record or whatever it was going to be, whatever they gave him. But, I think Georgia fans are comfortable with J.T. Daniels. They've also got a 4-star and a 5-star in the quarterback room right now, a redshirt and a true freshman. And then they've got a 5-star, Gunnar Stockton, committed in the class of 22s. The quarterback room, matter of fact, those kids I just mentioned, some of them probably better overall talent-wise than J.T. Daniels. They just don't have any experience. But, it's ironic you guys brought it up because somehow, some way, on the show this morning, it came up, the old thing about Georgia hadn't won once since 1980, Herschel Walker, and all that. Is Kirby always just going to recruit and be coach recruiting and not necessarily coach on the field? And that one's going to be interesting until he wins the big one.
Yeah, it certainly will be, and I know the expectations are set for them to maybe do that this year. The way you describe some of the quarterbacks in Georgia might be a little more talented than Daniels, but don't have the experience. It felt like that was the situation for Alabama last year with Bryce Young, the 5-star freshman. A lot of us even thought he would take over for Mac Jones at some point. It never happened, but now the spotlight's squarely on Bryce Young, and hey, his spring game is actually televised on ESPN, the only one that's on one of the real networks. So talk about the spotlight. There you go.
I'd be lying if I said I thought Mac Jones would have the year he had. Now, again, Mac's got some talent. I just didn't think it would hold off Bryce Young. And frankly, guys, got to remember Bryce Young got there early, but what's the point? There was no spring for him to develop. And those are the guys that really need the reps in the spring, not the veterans. And, but Bryce Young is I don't know how to describe him. He's maybe 6 foot. For a shorter quarterback, he's got a big arm. And physically, he may be 190. He's not thick like some other short. Tua was 6 foot maybe, but he was 215, 218. Russell Wilson's 5'11". He's 220. This kid's slight compared to them.
Okay.
But he's got a big arm, and if he has to run around, he's incredibly dangerous. This guy is electric running around as well. They'll be different, and got to remember, Coach O'Brien now is the offensive coordinator, so they'll be different somewhat in style, but there's still a lot of weapons. They're loaded with talent.
I know we usually wouldn't be talking about Tennessee State football, but that's right there in Nashville, isn't it? And
yeah.
Is that getting any waves? Eddie George is going to be the head football coach at Tennessee State. So you've got Deion Sanders at Jackson State and Eddie George at Tennessee State. That's interesting. Had he been coaching anywhere before?
No, not at all. I don't know what the latest is, but there's talk that he's going to hire Jeff Fisher, who lives here, as some kind of consultant or assistant of some sort. I don't know where that's at or if there's the money for that. Yes, it's big because you guys wouldn't know about it if it wasn't Eddie George. Nobody would know about it, right? And they fired Rod Reed, who'd been there several years, and they were kind of mediocre. Interestingly, Rod Reed has a son, who I believe is a sophomore or junior, who is an All-American basketball and football player, quarterback and point guard, who can do either one on a phenomenal level. He's got scouts all over him. I think he's just a junior right now. Marcel Reed is his name, but of the planet. I think Alabama just offered him for football, for example, an underclassman. But Rod Reed is out. You guys probably wouldn't know Rod Reed because he's here, but yeah, that's interesting. And I don't know what Eddie. Obviously, it's a big publicity thing. It's gonna catch people's attention, and maybe that was the point.
Yeah. All right. So you brought it up. You brought it up before I even mention it. The biggest upset in college baseball that I know of right now, at least in the SEC, happened in Nashville last week. Georgia takes 2 out of 3 from Vanderbilt, and just the shock was, you even mentioned it, man. I mean, they had the 7 home runs on that Friday, 3 off Kumar Rocker, who'd only allowed 2 in his career, and that knocks Vandy out of the number 1 spot. And, hey, it's going to get tougher because they get Tennessee this weekend, and Tony Vitello's got that program playing the best baseball they've played in a long time.
Not only did Georgia, the last place team of the East, beat them those 2 games, outscored them 23-3. It's not like they pulled it out in the 9th inning or something. And they didn't bat an eye at. Now they didn't have much luck against Leiter. I'll give you that. And right now Leiter's the better pitcher. It's not even that debate. He's got way more bite on his fastball. Rocker looks like, and nobody's talking, but he doesn't have that little extra bite on his fastball. He's 93, 94. For him, that's nothing. Now, his other stuff's pretty nasty. His other stuff's better than Leiter. But Leiter's fastball's got way more bite on and arm side movement than Rocker's right now. And I don't know. Today's not the day we need to draft him, right? But he might really well go ahead of Rocker. And he's 5 inches shorter and 50, 60 pounds lighter.
That's amazing. You know, and the other thing that stands out from that weekend is that the Vandy Bats were pretty quiet for most of the series. And, you know, it's kind of been like a no-name lineup, you know, not a lot of guys that you hadn't heard of yet because so many of their great players from the previous couple of years have moved on. But they were leading the league in scoring, batting average, everything except home runs, close to that. But Georgia kind of handled them that way. Does there feel like there's just like a one-off weekend and maybe just a blip on the radar for Vandy? What do you think?
Not that it would have mattered when you did beat 23-3 in the 2 losses, but Isaiah Thomas, one of the better hitters, certainly in the SEC, and one of their better hitters. And they hit him on down the lineup too, which is even 7th or 8th or something. He was out. Their starting second baseman is out too. Again, not that would have changed such a route, but there's another starter that I forget that was out too. But nonetheless, I mean, it was a shocker no matter. And I don't think anybody is playing better than Tennessee if you factor in personnel. Mm-hmm. He's recruited well there, but they don't have a lot of star power. But boy, are they a team. And boy, do they fight together. And boy, is that locker room unified. And I don't know that anybody's getting more out of their personnel in baseball right now than Tony Vitello, and you guys would know a lot about that, obviously.
Bill King joining us here on Halftime. Bill, so Vandy sitting at 9-3 in conference play, number 1 in the SEC East, and the Razorbacks sitting at 1 in the West. And talk about the Razorbacks just for a second before we move on from here. They put on a show this past weekend with Ole Miss, a 2-3 series win for the Razorbacks over Ole Miss. Bill, I don't know if you caught any of the series, but back and forth, and we've talked about it a time or two on here, just contrasting styles between both of these teams. But that was a heck of a series this weekend. And to me, Bill, I think it's solidified that Arkansas-Ole Miss is like the rivalry of SEC baseball. Is that fair to say?
It's one of them.
I would think. Now, I had it on. I had 2 monitors. I never do this for anything but college football. No event or sport gets 2 monitors in my place, other than college football. But I had, usually in college football, I got about 5. But for baseball, I had on that series because to me that was clearly the series of the weekend, if not series of the year to date. And I mean, I loved it. It was a high level of ball. It was tense. A lot of plays made. I mean, uncertainty there in some of those games, at least for a while. And I thought it was very impressive that Arkansas took, 2 of 3. They took, game 1 and game 3. And I thought they were very impressive doing it.
For lack of a better term, Bill, Sunday's game, which was over almost 4.5 hours, 32 runs scored. Arkansas led 11-0. And ended up having a tie. So that was the drunkest baseball game I've ever seen in my life. And I didn't drink a damn thing.
You had to work it. See, I'd have been the guy having the beer. I'd have been sitting there enjoying it.
That would have been me and you, Bill.
I'm still recovering from it. It's 3 days after, and my mind is still foggy.
You're rocker. You're rocker 6'5", 330, and I'm lighter, under 6 foot 1/8. We'd be a perfect team there.
Hey, Bill, before we let you go, the NCAA came out with some news today. They're expected to approve, the one-time transfer rule for undergraduate athletes, so they get the one free transfer, don't have to sit out. Good thing for college sports, or bad thing for college sports, in your opinion?
I'm always pretty anti that topic. I'm somewhat loosening up. I still don't like it. I don't think it's going to have a profound impact. Bad, though, necessarily. And the other angle is, guys, this was coming no matter what. It's not like we've got a debate. This was going to happen. I want to reiterate, and I know you're running short here. The NCAA is trying to do anything and everything they can do to make it appear like they're giving in and helping the athletes, so they don't ever get to the point where it's their money being paid to them, right? Because their money doesn't get paid to these people. Mm-hmm. None of them. And name and likeness is coming. We all know that. And so they're trying their best. That's the only reason they're doing it. If they weren't pinned against the wall, metaphorically speaking, they wouldn't be making these concessions.
All right, Bill, we'll leave it there. Appreciate you as
Thanks,
always.
Bill.
Thank you, guys.
All right, have a great week. It's Bill King, the king of college football talk, who is in the royal court of college baseball talk, too.